Hey guys, and welcome to another Marriage Sherpa video. So we're already well into 2020, and if you are a resolution person, hopefully you are upholding your resolutions or hitting those goals that you've set for yourself. I personally am not a big resolution person, but I do like to set goals, and I like to set small goals that are attainable and achievable and that I can actually measure. So hopefully you're doing a good job with that. The thing I want to talk about today is a lot of us going into a new year set resolutions and goals for ourselves personally, or for financial reasons or careers, but a lot of us don't focus on relationship goals. Now, whether you're dating or you've been married or you're newlyweds or you're engaged, I think it's important to set some goals or set intentions for your relationship in the upcoming year. So I'm going to tell you a really quick story about something that I put into practice probably within the first 2 or 3 years of being married. And I call it intentionally not getting mad. Sorry, I'm still kind of getting over a cold that I've had for a month, which is a whole other story that we don't have to get into. But anyway, intentionally not getting mad. Now, this sounds a little crazy at first, but I promise you that if you want to try it and put it into practice, it actually is really helpful. So I found myself getting irritated or frustrated with my husband pretty regularly within the first couple years of marriage, which I don't think is abnormal. You're adjusting to a new lifestyle with another person, you're living with another person, and you're living with their lifestyle and how they do things. So there's a bit of a learning curve going on. And I found myself getting frustrated and upset at him a lot. And not about big stuff, about tiny little things that really didn't matter that much. So I intentionally set a goal for myself, and I said for the next 7 days, and I only did 7, I'm not going to get upset at him. If I find myself getting frustrated, I'm going to tell myself to let it go. It's not that big of a deal. And if after the 7 days, if there was something that really was wearing on me, I was going to have a conversation with him, but I intentionally was not going to get frustrated or bring up any of the issues that I was having for that 7 days. And yes, it was hard at first, especially the first couple times where you feel those feelings and waves of frustration and bitterness or anger or resentment creep in. But once I learned to let them come in, feel them, and then let them go, it made a world of difference. And at the end of the 7 days, he could tell a difference, I could tell a difference, and we had a better, closer connection because of it. Now, I did that probably 10 plus years ago. I still utilize that same technique today. And granted, I don't have to utilize it as often. And if you want to tweak around the days that you do it for, so maybe you just want to do it for 3 days, or maybe you want to do it for 24 hours, but you can kind of play around with it and see what works for you. But I do highly recommend the week just because it gives you good self-reflection of how truly in charge of our own emotions that we are absolutely capable of being. So that is the part that I like about it probably the most. With that being said, that's not technically a goal or an intention for your life with your partner or your relationship, but it's just kind of an example of something that I set forth in that, got some weird hair stuff going on, in that first year that I was going to try and achieve. So it could be something like that, or it could be something a lot bigger, but the point is to set an intention or set goals for your relationship in the upcoming year of 2020. So, I think you can go about it one of 2 ways. You could do this by yourself. If you want to take the reins and you want to take responsibility for yourself and your relationship, which you absolutely should do if you're not already doing it, but just setting the goals for yourself, you can totally do that. Or the thing that I really recommend is coming together and making the goals and intentions together. Now, this I think works best when you both go separately and write down your goals and intentions, and then come together and kind of discuss and try and figure out if they're aligned. If they're not, maybe those are things you can work on by yourself while the other person works on their stuff. And then take those ones that are like-minded, write them down, and make sure that you guys are being intentional about doing them. And that goes the same for if you're writing out a list for ones just for yourself. Write them out and put them somewhere where you see them every day, so you can hold yourself accountable, like, oh, okay, I did see on the mirror this morning that I wrote that down as a goal or an intention for our marriage or our relationship, and I'm not doing it, so that's on me. Another thing is to not try and focus on stuff that you shouldn't do. Like, oh, I shouldn't get angry at him. Focus on, which I know totally goes against the story I just told you. I'm very much aware of that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, to have a negative spin on something. I think sometimes that pushes us to be better. But a lot of times I think it's better if we can find a positive way to spin it. So instead of, I want to fight less with him, you could say, I'm going to make sure I give more intentional compliments. Because I think I've found that when we put more love and grace and gratitude out, the less room there is for animosity and anger and bitterness. So I like to fill the space around me and the relationships that I have with love, kindness, and gratitude. And there's not that much space left for anything else at that point. So, good rule of thumb. So yeah, like I said, write them down somewhere where you see them regularly. And here's, if you're having trouble coming up with some goals or some intentions, which I know can be hard, especially if you're in a trying relationship, or you've been married for a really, really long time and you think, hey, everything's great, or you find your relationship maybe is a little bit stagnant right now, it can be, excuse me, it can be hard to try and come up with some goals or intentions for that relationship. So I wrote down about 3 things, and I will put them either over here or over here as I go over them so that you can write them down if you want to too. But I found that these 3 questions will help kind of spark that creativity and spark those thoughts of, oh, that's something that maybe I could set as a goal or an intention. So the first one is how do I want to feel in my relationship, and what specifically will help me feel that way? So in other words, what intentional thing can either I do or can I communicate to my partner to do that will make me feel that way in this relationship? So that's the very first question to ask. And really, if that's the only question you ask, then you're going to come up with some pretty good content to start making that goal intention list. So the second question that you can ask is, how do I want to make my partner feel, and what specifically can I do on a daily basis or a weekly basis or repetitively to make them feel that way? So the first question is, how do I want to feel? Next question is, how do I want my partner to feel in this relationship? And with those 2 questions, you're set up for success. The third one that I really like, and especially if you are in a new relationship, or, like I said, a stagnant relationship that has kind of just plateaued or flatlined. Well, hopefully it's not flatlined, because that means it's dead. So that's not good. The third question is, what do I, or if you're doing it together with your partner, what do we want our relationship to look like in the next year? And then the second part of that question is, what specifically can I, you, we do to achieve that goal or that feeling? That is such a big question that I think not only should you ask to set goals and intentions for the year, but to keep asking, because it is a constant fluctuation. Every relationship is. We all go through ebbs and flows. We all get plateaus. We always get peaks. There's valleys. So to continually address this specific question is going to change your relationship drastically over the course of your relationship. It's one that I don't do enough asking of, but that is one of the goals and intentions that I have for my marriage in this upcoming year, is to continually come back to this question and reevaluate, because I think it's so important. So yeah, like I said, if you do it together, if you come up with these goals and intentions together, make sure that you write it down for the upcoming year, and make sure that you keep checking back in it and with each other to see if you are meeting those goals. A cool thing I think you can do too that might come out of this is writing a mission statement for your marriage. And keep in mind, this mission statement doesn't have to be the end-all be-all of mission statements, and this is the only one you get to have for your marriage over the course of your relationship. You can reevaluate it, but I think it's important to have, just like any business has a mission statement, I think your marriage should have one as well. And that you both can get along on, that you both see eye to eye on, that you both agree on. And also, when you do write these goals/intentions, you guys need to communicate how you're going to make them happen. So it's one thing to write them down. It's like when you come up with the New Year's resolution. You can come up with the New Year's resolution to lose 20 pounds, but how are you going to achieve that? You need to start writing down the intentional things that you're going to do on a weekly basis in order to hit that goal. And then the last thing is just be intentional and committed. It's like anything in life. If you're going to achieve a goal or achieve a resolution, you have to have stick-to-itness, right? And you have to have accountability. And the nice thing about coming up with goals and intentions for your marriage is you already have a built-in accountability partner. It's your partner. So I just want to encourage you guys in this upcoming year. I feel like this is a year of self-love, self-care, and intentionality. And pronunciation, possibly. So I just want to encourage you guys to just have that flowing mindset as you sit down to write these goals and intentions. And I'd love to hear the lists that you guys come up with, the different things that you come up with. Maybe if you say them, it will spark somebody else's creativity for their list. So leave them down in the comments below, whatever you come up with. I'd love to hear them. And then I want to continue to check in with you guys to make sure that you're being intentional and committed to it. So I think that's it for the video today. I hope you guys liked it. I think it's a cool idea to do. And hopefully you do too. And hopefully, everybody's successful with it. So wishing you peace, love, and happiness for 2020 and intentionality. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!